Hey you guys, welcome back. So this is actually my second time recording this video. I recorded the first time the night that my van broke down, and needless to say I was really pissed off. I think it was still a fine video, but I just knew with uploading videos you're always going to get that category of people that don't like you, and I was so angry in the video that I was like, I just know I'm gonna end up getting comments that are people like, I can't even listen to this, you just like so mad. So I was like, all right, let me calm down and come at you from a very sound point of view. I do have my van back now, thank God. But I was out of work for 2 days, well 2.5 days really, because it died on me in the middle of a stop. So let's start at the beginning. I have broken down 3 times in the last 6 months, so pretty much every other month since September. So in September, I made a video about it. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I have like made a whole video explaining everything that happened when my alternator went out. Now, basically these Hanvey vans are known to go through the alternators, and the reoccurring problem I'm seeing with Hanvey is it depends on the day with them. Like whenever I got the van, they said, oh yeah, like you'll go through some alternators, but basically like that's better than the generators. It's going to be more affordable in the long run. We'll see about that, because I think they're about $2,000 for an alternator to get replaced. So is that cheaper than the generator? I don't know. But now that people are constantly having alternators go out, now all of a sudden it's not Hanvey's fault. They're saying it's from us not plugging in. I saw somebody recently that said they've had their van for a month. They plug in every single night. Their alternator went out, and Curtis said, you should be plugging it in. They said, I am plugging it in, and crickets, as per usual. So that was in September. In December, I don't know if I told you guys about this because I had so much going on at the time. As you guys know, I lost my dog in December. He started getting sick in November. My van died the week before Christmas. I was leaving a client's house. I had some weird message on my dashboard that had like a seatbelt kind of looking thing with like a little person with seatbelt. I don't remember what it said. It's been a while now. Took it in, ended up being something that was still under warranty, but I had been having a coolant leak for a 1.5 years that I'd had checked out multiple times. They told me they tightened this, did that, whatever. But the coolant leak was major to the point that it was going to mess up my engine, cost me almost $1,000 to fix. Right before Christmas, I was like literally like trying to keep my head on straight because it was so close to Christmas that I was worried that there just wasn't enough hours in the day, even with me working 7 days straight, to get everybody in time for Christmas. Thankfully, I had a few really nice clients that were willing to wait until after Christmas to get groomed, and thank God for them, because otherwise I don't know how I would have made it work, even working 12-hour shifts 7 days straight. On top of having a dog, by the way, that was on prednisone. He needed to go to the bathroom every 4 hours, and I was trying to find time in fully booked days where I'm driving all over the place, because you know, when you have to cram your schedule like that, you don't get to necessarily put everybody in good spots where you're like, oh, I won't have to drive much here. And by the way, the not driving much is what caused the current problem that I just had. But regardless, so I'm driving all over the place trying to find times to let my dog out to go to the bathroom, because he's very he was having to go constantly. He was drinking a lot of water with the prednisone, and he would try to hold it, which I was worried would cause more problems, and he was already dying. So and honestly, to be honest with you, I would have really liked to have that week with him, some extra time with him to spend with him before I had to put him to sleep personally, but that's a whole another story. We won't even get into that. But you know what? I guess it is important on some aspects, because yeah, a lot of these problems I've had with the van have been quick fixes. Like besides the coolant thing, I've been lucky that a lot of it's been under warranty, but there is that. Like it takes away from the rest of your life. Like I said, I would have loved to have been able to be home with him and just spend those last few moments that I had with him. But basically, by the time I finished work before Christmas, I got the call that I had to put him down. So then I had like one last really bad weekend with him, and then I had to put him to sleep. So those couple of weeks that maybe I could have enjoyed a little bit more time with him, I was stuck working and really long, crazy shifts. I was fortunate that my mom was able to come and let him out for me, because, like I said, he would just hold it and he needed to go to the bathroom, and I didn't want to cause more problems for him. So that's kind of the point of all of this, is like, yeah, it doesn't matter how many quick, easy fixes there are. The problem is that every time something like this happens, I have to cancel clients. This time I had to cancel a new dog. I had to cancel, and I just raised my prices. So here I am, like, so relieved. Oh, I can take a breath of air. I'm going to be making a lot more money now with my price raises. I'm going to be able to sit comfortably. And then, like, the next week, literally I announced it last week that I was raising prices, and I think I got 3 days of new prices out, and then my van went down on me again. So this past week on Tuesday, I believe it was the 21st, I went to actually my mom's house and I groomed her 3 dogs. I was there for 3+ hours, something like that. And went to leave, and I noticed I was like pushing on the gas and I wasn't really accelerating, and I felt resistance when I was pushing on it. It's kind of like one of those things with the van. It's like you almost get like in tune with it, and you know all its noises, you know how it's supposed to feel when it takes off, and I could feel like resistance, and it didn't want to pick up speed. Now this has happened before, but typically if I take it on a long, nice drive afterwards, it'll kind of work itself out, and once I turn it off and start it again, it'll be driving a lot better. So it was a long day. I had groomed dogs that morning, and then I had my mom's dogs, and then I had 2 more dogs that I needed to groom. So I needed to go home to fill up my water because I was going to run out because I was doing big dogs. So I go home, fill up my water, and then I go to my next stop, and my van's still having that problem. Even though I did a long drive, it was like a 45-minute drive, came home, turned it off, started it again, still driving really, really badly. Now, sometime in the time from my house to my next client, which was another like 30 minutes away on a different side of town, it like never, like I said, wasn't driving good, but my check engine light came on in that time. So once I stopped at that client's house and got their dog, I called the place I bring my van to, and I'm like, this is what's happening. They said it's probably your EGR valve that got gunked up from you idling for a long time, and then basically you need to bring it in. So I asked them, I was like, do you think I'll be able to make it through these dogs? And they basically told me maybe. They said maybe, but keep an eye on it because your van may die. Now, I personally don't want to die in a client's driveway, because then, you know, if I'm waiting on a tow truck or whatever, I don't want to be in their way, you know? So then I have to tell the people that I'm currently at their house, like, my van might die in your driveway. So, like, what do you want to do? So it was one new dog, and I'd groomed their other one before. They'd just gotten a new dog. So I was working with the new dog, got him, I at least got his nails trimmed. He was, I think he's around a year-old German Shepherd, which I know. Don't even talk to me about not taking big dogs. I just lost my German Shepherd, and they asked me about the right breed at the right time, and it was the right client, so I took another big dog. I know I shouldn't have, but they also, that's a whole nother story. They're very understanding, so if the dog gets more than I can handle, then I will not let them continue to come to me, so that's okay. Anyway, so they were super freaking nice about everything, super apologetic to me, which this whole thing of like having to cancel clients, and you have to basically do it day by day, because you don't want to, like, if I would have canceled this entire week, for example, I'm still able to work. Today is Thursday, so I'm still able to work Friday and Saturday. Had I gone ahead and canceled them, then I'd have to reach back out and be like, hey, just kidding, like, I can come groom your dog. And then people have already rearranged their schedules to accommodate my new schedule, and they're probably not going to want to switch around again. I wouldn't. I'd be like, girl, you told me I was doing next week, so I'm planning next week now. I don't want to do Saturday anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I had a new client I had to cancel yesterday. And it's really, or sorry, for today, but I had to cancel. I sent her the cancellation yesterday, and she's supposed to get groomed today. So that's a really bad first impression to be making with a client. And, again, this is the 3rd time since September, and each issue was unrelated. Like, they didn't affect each other, but they were all caused by the Hanvey inverter system. Does that make sense? So the alternator, like I mentioned, the inverter system pulls from the alternator. So even if you're plugging your van in at night, as you're using it throughout the day, the alternator is powering your batteries in the back, and that's what makes your alternator go out. Essentially, from everything I've learned over my van dying and all the conversations I've had in the last 2 days, I learned that the alternators in these Hanvey vans are really not powerful enough to power this system. Does that mean that they're going to come out with other vans? Not from what I've seen. They like these sprinters and they like the shorter ones. They even try to fight you if you want one of the longer sprinters. They really want you to get this one sprinter. And I don't know what that is about. Like if it means that would make more work on their end, if they wanted to make other vans, if they would have to figure out a new design, probably. So I would maybe think it's a little bit of laziness on their part. I'm not an engineer. I don't know. All I do know is that these alternators don't seem to be handling this inverter system very well. And so that was, like I said, that's one area where it's Hanvey's fault. Second time, my coolant leak was leaking behind my water tanks inside the van where Hanvey taps in. So that was a Hanvey caused problem, not under warranty. Third, the EGR valve, he told me, is from idling. He said, the mechanic at my shop told me this. He said that often they see this in these vehicles that idle for long periods, and they see it less in the trucks like Amazon or whatever that's constantly moving, constantly driving. They don't tend to have this issue as much as us that idle all day. And we are told by Hanvey that we have to idle. That's the only way our air conditioning is going to work. And if we don't idle, then we're wearing out the batteries in the back, and then we have to charge it again with the alternator. So then you're just causing problems with your alternator again. So basically you have to idle, which is clogging up the EGR valve, and the EGR valves are also on back order. So basically this time they took it out and cleaned it. They said that there will be like one more time that I can go in and get it cleaned out, and then after that they'll have to basically request to get the new EGR valve, which is on back order. So that's when you could be down for an undisclosed amount of time. Now I have a friend of mine, I'm not going to name any names just in case she doesn't want to be mentioned. She has a van with 5,000 miles that's been in 8 times, listen to me, 8 times since January. 5,000 miles on this van, brand new. I think she got it September or so of last year. It's very new. And she's having a check engine light as well. She took it up to Mercedes. They told her she's going to be down for 3 months. They told her that in her brand new van, she's going to be out of work for 3 months. So you're asking, oh, does she have lost wages insurance? Well, turns out through all of this, we found out that lost wages only covers if you get in an accident. It does not cover mechanical issues. So that means she, for 3 months, will be without pay. How exactly do you expect that she's going to pay her bills? And in my situation, where I'm breaking down randomly here and there, it doesn't really look good to the clients when I have to text them last second and be like, yeah, my van is down and I don't know when I'm going to get it back. As you know, in most mechanic shops, sometimes they can give you an estimate on how long something's going to take if you have an appointment. But when your van breaks down on you on a Tuesday afternoon and you just got to rush it straight up there, you don't have an appointment. You're being worked in. So they can't tell you like, oh yeah, you're definitely going to have it back by this time, because you bring it in and then they have to look at it and diagnose the problem, and then they have to see if they have the parts to fix it. If they have the parts to fix it, it's going to take X amount of time. If they don't have the parts to fix it, then you got to wait for them to get there. And hopefully your parts are available. So what I'm learning is that these Hanvey vans go down randomly, and it's up in the air how long you're going to take to fix it. If I thought, okay, well, now that this is fixed, I'll be good for a year, I'd feel a lot better about it. If my van broke down 3 times over a 5-year span, I'd be like, cool, whatever, But 3 times in a 6-month span, you're having to reschedule the same clients. Doesn't do great for your reputation. It's gotten to the point where I have seriously considered getting a part-time job, so that way when my van goes down, I'm at least able to pay my bills. Because like I said, lost wages doesn't do anything. I have my own personal bills that are due on top of the Hanvey. Yeah, I could probably call and say, hey, auto insurance and well, I don't know about insurance, but I know I could call the place that my loan is through and get it pushed back. But what about my electricity bill? What about my water bill? What about my internet? All of these things that I need to survive daily, I don't know if I'll be able to pay it or not. And it's hard enough to plan with your business because you never know who's going to cancel on you last second and all that. So it's already hard enough to try to make a budget and all of those things when it's very unpredictable when your money is coming in. And then you add in your vehicle randomly not working out of nowhere when it started up just fine that morning. It's very, very hard to have a steady income with these things going on. So My opinion is that I think maybe Hanvey either needs to work on their inverter system so that it's not running through these alternators, or possibly have other options available. Like if I want to get one of those big Ford vans, the box truck kind of vans, I should be allowed to get that. If I want to get a Dodge van, I should be allowed to get that. But they will only basically allow you to get the Sprinters. They have taken some of the other ones, but basically they'll charge you even more. And I think they're up to $120,000 now to buy one of their vans, the Sprinters. So they want to charge you even more than that to get a Ford. I think Wagon Tails has a lot better options. I think that their design is a lot more foolproof than the Hanveys. I think that their customer service is much better. One thing I really cannot stand about Hanvey is the way that they speak to people in the groups that they have. You can go to Facebook and just type in Hanvey. There's like 10 different groups. There's like Mobile Grooming the Hanvey Way, Hanvey Van Tech Issues, Hanvey Mobile Cafe, all these different ones. Just go in there and read the people that are saying, hey, I'm having such and such problem, and you'll either not see them get a response from the company at all, or a lot of times when they get a response, it's a whole nonsensical rant from the owner of the company, blah blah blah, and talking over your head, talking to you like you're an engineer yourself and that you know what he's talking about. There's like 10 hypotheticals in the paragraph, and it's just messy. And I'm sure that these people trying to figure out these problems, by the time they get to the end of that crazy 10 paragraph essay, they're like, huh? I know I would be. I've tried to read some of them and I'm like, you lost me. So, and then the other alternative is they're like, go watch a video. Now I've had to watch the videos before and they have been helpful, but at the same time, sometimes it takes so long to get to the point, and you're like there should be timestamps in these videos. Like, okay, I'm trying to replace the drain under my tub. I should be able to click on it and it takes me right to that portion. But what he does is there will be like 10 minutes of troubleshooting first that you've already done. And you're like, I know this, just get to the point. And you can't just fast forward, because lo and behold, you'll fast forward to a point where, you know, you already know this stuff, or you missed what you were looking for, you know? So the videos can be really difficult to follow, and they're not always helpful. And I think that they would be better off instead of just making you post in this group, because I've heard also that a lot of times it's hard to get a hold of them if you call the facility. So what I'm seeing is that basically, like I said, it's long ramblings. It's like, oh, go watch this video, or, you know, 10 hypotheticals. Well, maybe if you did this, then this might happen. And it's like, why don't you call them and figure out what they did do, rather than giving them hypothetical situations to 10 different possibilities that they didn't do? Why don't you call them, ask them what happened, get all the details so that you can make a more educated guess, right? Another downside with Hanvey is with Wagon Tails, you can bring your vehicle to an RV place, so you don't have to depend on Wagon Tails for all your fixes. Whereas with Hanvey, a lot of times they want you to fix it yourself. Now, I'm a woman that lives alone. I don't want to fix this myself. I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't want to mess it up and make it worse. But that's basically my only option. And I chose Hanvey originally thinking, oh, they're in the area, that'll be more convenient for me. But now I'm like really thinking about it. I'm like, I should have just gotten an RV. I could have brought it to the same place I'm bringing my van to, get the same amount of help. The place I bring my van to is amazing. They're so helpful, so thorough about explaining things. Like, he really went in and explained to me what this EGR valve looks like and what happens. Like, he said it's like basically like this, that like flows whenever you're driving or whatever, and the gunk gets up in between like the little finger area, right? And then it doesn't allow it to move as freely, and that's why it like gives resistance whenever you're trying to drive. So basically, long story short is I would probably not buy another Hanvey. I don't know that I'll continue to do mobile anyway once that time comes. I wasn't really planning on getting a second van, but if I was going to, I would get a Wagon Tails. Or if you were somebody that knows somebody that can build a van, then I would go with that option. Like, especially if it's like your husband or, you know, whoever, uncle, dad, whoever that can build the van and fix problems as they come up, I would probably do that. I bought the Hanvey thinking that I was getting the best option, the new and improve it. Literally, Curtis explained it to me like, this is the Apple product and the Wagon Tails is the Samsung. And it's like, you know, so I'm thinking I'm getting this new amazing option. And I just don't think that they know as much, to be honest. I think that they like their one van, it's easy peasy, throw it together, we can put 2 a day out and call it a day. And maybe they should be putting a little bit more effort into like, okay, these are known problems. I know they know about these problems because I see them posted in the group. I've had friends that have had these issues that they have reported back to Hanvey. And a lot of times what happens is Hanvey essentially says, it's your fault. You fix it. Well, that's nice for you and all. But the thing is like I said, with my particular case, I've had 3 different instances that were not caused by me, that they ended up, I had to take to the shop to fix. Like I said, the coolant thing, I think should have been on Hanvey because they're the ones that tapped in and obviously didn't seal something right or whatever and caused this like huge coolant leak. But I had to pay out of pocket for that. And that's not including the amount of money that you have to spend to get it towed. That's not including your lost wages, or if you have to Uber up there because you didn't have a ride or whatever. It's not including all those things. And it's not including the damage that these kind of things do to your reputation. You don't want to be known as unreliable. You don't, and it's embarrassing and frustrating when you've spent so much money on this vehicle to have to tell people that you can't make it because your van is down again. You know, 1 time here and there, people get that. 3 times in 6 months, not so much. I'm very, very, very fortunate to have such understanding clients because in all of this time, I think I've only had 1 person get kind of upset with me, but at the same time, she was still understanding. She was just disappointed, which I can understand. I was also disappointed and frustrated because, again, this is my reputation. This is my livelihood. I don't have anybody else here paying the bills. So when this kind of stuff happens, I'm screwed. And frankly, I have been at the spot where I'm like, maybe I need to get a part-time job just in case. And that's pretty sad, right? It's pretty sad when you work that hard on your business and building your clients and doing all of these things to turn around and be like, you know, my van is so unreliable, I might need a second source of income for when it goes down. I think that's pretty sad, right? So would I buy another Hanvey? Not if they paid me. Honest to God, I don't want to go through this again. I would rather, if I was going to get another van, I would get a Wagon Tails. I think the longevity is there. I think the customer support is there. I think that the convenience is there, that you can take it to an RV place or whatever. Even if you have a generator issue, get a new generator and you're back on the road. So Hanvey has a lot of flaws. It's very upsetting because I promoted so heavily for them. I believed in them so much. And then it was like, I just started having problem after problem after problem. And really there's nothing like, yeah, I could call Hanvey for it, but they can't fix this kind of stuff. Their inverter system may cause the problems, but they can't work on these Mercedes. So I have to take it to the other shop anyway. And at this point, I'd rather not deal with them. I don't approve of how they've treated their clients over and over and over. Now, if you are somebody that's never had a problem with your Hanvey and you have only good things to say about them, they're going to be so nice to you. But if you have a problem, good luck to you, because they're not going to have nice things to say in response. And mainly they're probably just going to blame you for the problem. So again, I recommend if you are considering to get a Hanvey, go in the Hanvey groups and just read through it, the problems people are having, read through it, the responses from the company. Just pay attention and you'll be good to go, really. But again, if it were my choice, if you're going to do mobile, which I don't know if I'd even recommend mobile at this point after being in it for almost 3 years, because any little thing happens, like if I go out and I get in a wreck, then what? I guess then I could get my Wagon Tails, you know? But otherwise, what would you do? And like I said, you go out and you're working in the middle of the day and your van goes down, you can't work. Unless you have an at-home option or whatever, like you were just SOL. So anyway, I'm disappointed. I really thought I was getting this really great thing. And I'm thankful on one hand that all these repairs have been done pretty quickly. I've never been out for longer than like a couple of days. That's nice. But how frequently it's happening is what's concerning to me. Like, you know, I'm up and running again, but is it going to go 6 months before I have another issue? Or is it going to go 2 months? Or is it going to go 2 weeks? You know? God, I hope not 2 weeks. And like, that's the thing is like, I'll literally have nightmares. I'm like not even exaggerating at all. I will sometimes have nightmares that my van broke down. Like literally the other night I had a dream that I just started working at a coffee shop because I essentially had to get a second job to pay for the van. And, that's just telling me how stressed out this whole thing has made me. Even when it's running good, it's a constant fear of like, when is it not going to be running good? So anyway, I have a live stream coming up on this that I'm going to be having other Hanvey owners come on to live and talk about their experience. I think it's going to be really eye-opening. It's going to be out March 5th at 7 Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you can make it, definitely be there. If you have to go back and watch it later, that's fine too. It's always good to be there during the live though, so you can ask questions as it's going on. If you ask questions after, I will do my best to get back to you, but you may not get the response from the other Hanvey owners. So I think it's going to be really great to see more people's experience than just mine, because we're all having different issues. You know, we all live in different climates. We all have different Mercedes dealerships that we're dealing with, all of these things, you know, so anyway, I'm looking forward to that live. I've got some great groomers lined up that want to be a part of it, and I think it's going to be really educational and very eye-opening for a lot of people. So I hope to see you guys there. Thank you for watching. I'm really sad to be reporting this because I was such a big Hanvey advocate for so long, but it's not a company I can stand behind anymore, unfortunately. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you. If you're somebody that's interested in getting into a Hanvey van, maybe don't. Just my opinion. I think there's better options. So anyway, I love you guys. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.